is Nebraska football entitled? And to be honest with you, I didn't even want to make that the point of the show today because inherently that's going to bring on negativity. And so for that reason, I had a completely different title in mind. And I'm like, no, the head coach literally stood at the press conference and said it for the world to hear yesterday. Like, he said he's sick of the entitlement. And I'm just like, okay. Well, if we're going to talk about truth and honesty and unbridled honesty and all this other stuff, it's what stuck out to me. So here we are. And I quote, yesterday, and I quote, I don't think we were ready for a fist fight, end quote. Matt Rhule said, Nebraska players thought the game would be a little bit easier than it was. Now, there's a difference between walking in, feeling like you're going to win, believing you're a good team, believing you're going to beat them, and thinking it's going to be easy. Those are two very different things. Believing you're going to win and having confidence is still acknowledging it's going to be a rock fight. It's going to be a fist fight. It's going to be a war in between those white lines. We just think we're going to come out on top. And we're willing to get in the trenches with you and go toe-to-toe. And we're willing, when you punch us in the mouth, to punch you in the mouth, too. To be clear, in a football sense. No unnecessary personal foul penalties. Rhule was not happy with those either, especially up front along the offensive line. That's having confidence. That's having belief. Thinking it's easy is thinking you're going to win. You're just not going to have to work that hard for it. They're two very different things. So I didn't like that. He talked about how the coaches, like, hey, I'm pissed at myself and the coaches. He said, he's like, hey, he couldn't get them to buy into what the game was going to be like. And to be clear, he said a million times, it's under his watch. He accepts responsibility. There was no deflection of blame here. You know what's interesting? I just, you know how Charlie texted me yesterday? Charlie McBride texted me during the show, so I called him back. Spoke for about 30 minutes. He said a couple of things that were phenomenal. He said a lot of things that were phenomenal, but here's a couple of things that stood out to me. He goes, Adam, I'm 86 and I live in another state. Why am I so amped up about Nebraska football? Because he loves Nebraska football, and that's something that will never die. It was almost like he was perplexed why he was so fired up. I'm like, no. Dude, years and years of blood, sweat, and tears he put into this program. That doesn't just go away. And then he talked about loyalty. It was interesting because I don't think it was two different parts of the conversation. I don't think he connected the dots. Why am I so amped up? And then like 5 minutes later, he brought up loyalty. You know, loyalty mattering and how that was a big deal when they played. And is it the same today? Because, and the reason it connects is if you're loyal and something matters to you. Like I talked openly on a show earlier this year about how I thought about transferring because I could not stand my defensive line coach. And then he lied to me. So I couldn't stand him. And then he lied to me. And I wanted to go. You can ask my parents for 48 hours. I was like, 48 hours later, I was never leaving. I had an emotional, young man's response. But you know what mattered to me was playing for Nebraska. And I was like, that trumps that guy. That trumps that guy. Loyalty is being willing to fight, scratch, and claw for something that matters to you more than the adversity that might come with it. How loyal are you to your teammates? How loyal are you to the program? How loyal are you to getting that dub, to getting the win? How loyal are you? Or we're really, really good. Boom, we're just going to win. It doesn't work like that. People who tell you they've never faced defeat, they've never gotten their butt whipped sideways, up and down, left and right, every day of the week, twice on Sunday. Any D lineman who tells you they've never been pancaked, they're one of two things. They're either a liar or they've never faced a good offensive lineman in their life. There's going to be adversity and ups and downs. The other thing he said that stuck out to me, there was three. I've already named the first two. He goes, if you don't have a good offensive and defensive line coach, you're in trouble. And that's all he said about it. Just a general statement. Wouldn't apply to anything in particular. Would it, Jake?
Quite interesting to say.
Honestly, that's all he said. But you can figure things out from there. When it comes to a certain amount of entitlement, here's what I do believe. I do believe there's a lot of hard workers on this team. I do believe Matt Rhule has said he likes this team for legitimate reasons. I do believe that there's a lot of really good kids, really good players, and guys who put in a lot of hard work. I'm not saying that. There's a lot of good football players in there. What I am saying is what I have said ad nauseum since January. The C word, consistency. It is the hardest thing to attain at a high level. My redshirt freshman year, when I would just come in on nickel, I was living the life. It was 3rd and 8, 3rd and 18, 3rd and 12. They weren't going to run the ball, and if they did, who gave a crap? I was going to play 10, 15 plays a game. All I was going to do is rush the passer. I was living the life. My sophomore year, Adam, you're going to start. That's awesome. Bam, 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 bam. Oh, that's about 15,000 double teams in a row. Oh, I'm supposed to get off the block when they do play action pass. Whoa, that's a whole new world. Oh, by the way, you get to show up and do it again tomorrow and the next day and the next week and the next month and the next year. Then you get to come back the next year, and now there's bigger expectations and more scrutiny. And if you screw up, everybody's going to be on you. Are you in? Man, yes, I am. You know why? Because I'm loyal to the thought of winning. I'm loyal to the thought of working hard. I'm loyal to the thought of one of the worst plays I ever had in my entire life was versus Baylor. My God, he drove me like 8 yards backwards. It was probably like 3, but it felt like 50. Then I get up. By the way, I ended up being teammates at the St. Louis Rams later on. He was number 2 pick in the NFL draft. I knew who he was, but he was like a youngster at that point in time. He goes, I got a shiv in my sock. Watch out, boy. And he walked back to the huddle. I was like, all right. Welcome to consistency, day in and day out football. What they're going through right now is finding out what it's like to be in a rock fight day in and day out, what it's like to travel halfway across the country, then travel again on a short week, have your travel plans changed because it was supposed to be a different game time in Maryland. Now you're staying at a different place for your game, and it's a Friday night. It's a hostile environment, and nobody sent the memo to Minnesota. It's supposed to be easy. I got nothing but love for the players in that facility, for the coaches in that facility. They're working. I don't question whether they believe they're working hard, but are they willing to pay the price of loyalty and consistency when adversity is bigger or tougher in the moment than you've ever seen in a competitive situation? Because every day it just gets harder. Every week it just gets harder. Either you win more games and expectations build, and you have to drown out the positivity because then you buy into we're better than we think we are. But you don't know it in the moment. And people who don't know what they don't know can be the most frustrating to be around. And they've also got the harshest lessons coming in front of them. That's just part of it. I had harsh lessons. I didn't know what I didn't know until somebody whooped my rear end sideways. And I was like, wow, that sucked. I don't want to do that again. So how about I do this? And I'd be better for it. So again, I think Friday was a lesson in harshness, in what the Big Ten is really about, in adversity. And hey, if you want to be good, you got to be consistent. That's all I think. I don't want to say that's all I think it was, because Matt Rhule also said, we're going to find out if they're willing to fight for themselves this Saturday. Do I think there was a certain amount of entitlement in the fact that they were arrogant and didn't want to work hard? Everything should just be handed to us. No, not necessarily. If I'm being fully honest with you, I think there's been a little oversensitivity because Nebraska, there's a lot of scrutiny. But I don't think they're lazy. I don't think the entitlement applies to we're just too good. No, I think the entitlement applied to we're getting hit in the mouth. We haven't experienced this before. A lot of the players, some of them had. But again, we're very young. And I think it was in the moment when it was the toughest, Matt Rhule said they hung their heads, and he was tired of it. And there's a lesson to be learned. Now, you can come out and you can be better for it, which is where Matt Rhule said, we'll see if they're going to fight for themselves this weekend. And if they do, we're a better team for it. And think about this. If we beat Northwestern, we'd be 6-2 for the first time in 9 years. We haven't had 6 wins before we've had 3 losses since 2016. I'm so tired of referencing 2016. I tried to phrase it a different way, but it means the same thing.
I know, it's funny too. Like, that was some great team. It was a solid team.
You know what I want to say? At some point, I want to say this is the best team since 2001, since 99, since 97. And then I want to have a conversation about which championship team was better eventually at some point. So to be clear, I got nothing but love. I've been where they're at. I've been threatened by shivs in the middle of a game. I know what that's all like. It's how do you respond? It's how do you respond? It's how do you respond? When Richie threw me on my face for the first time when I was a redshirt freshman in the spring practice, I had no idea what had just happened. It's a 9-on-7 run drill. And all of a sudden, my face is in the turf. I got black beads all up in my mouth, in my eyes, and I have no idea what happened. Like, how did I get here? He didn't knock me backwards. It's 9-on-7 run drill. Did he snatch me forwards? I watched the film. He did. I came off with my weight so far straight ahead because it's freaking Richie. And I'm a freshman trying to not get mollywopped every play. And he said, youngster, you're leaning way too far ahead. I'm going to snatch you on your face, go second level, and I'm going to get 2 blocks in 1 play. And that's exactly what he did. And I learned from that. You know what my favorite move after that against offensive linemen was in run blocks? If you lean forward too far ahead, I'm going to snatch you on your face, swim move over the top, get a TFL in the backfield. I didn't enjoy watching that the next day in meetings. The juniors and seniors thought it was hilarious. The coach was not pleased. I was still to the stage where I never spoke, so I just sat there, beat red as this room we're sitting in, but I learned a lesson from it. So is there entitlement in Nebraska football? There clearly is, because Matt Rhule said there is. He's the head coach. He said he's sick and tired of it. But what is the entitlement? What does it pertain to? And what does it mean? And does it have to stay? Can we be better for it? Can we learn a lesson from it? Thoughts, Jake? That all kind of makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, and it's hard to, try to kind of break it down again from the outside why Nebraska would be entitled. I'm still interested in the kind of these half times. Sometimes he's talking about coming in, you're down 7-6. You're right in the middle of a Big Ten game. Obviously if you're the offense, you're not happy with the way the first half went, but if you're the defense, you should be pretty happy. I mean, you have the big run. I get it, but you're right in the middle of a game. It's weird to kind of to frame, it was just such a strange game altogether. And that's what I was kind of thinking about with Nebraska being ranked, that sort of thing. It just over the years has just not been something Nebraska can consistently do. I mean, but can the entitlement really turn on as quick as you're ranked 25th? I mean, as soon as you gut out some wins against Michigan State and Maryland, those games weren't easy. You had to fight back to win those games. So it's just kind of odd, where that comes from. But at the same time, you also, it's how you read the room and playing the result a little bit, right? Might have guys become a little bit arrogant or confident. I mean, that's what you want. But then you lose the game, and then you can turn around and say, well, they were too confident going into this game. So it's definitely an interesting press conference the other day. I think it'll be definitely interesting today to see how the coordinators react to it. It feels like they need a win. It feels like, obviously, if you lose to Northwestern, things could start unraveling a little bit. So if you get the win, obviously you put it back. Okay, that was an outlier. That Minnesota performance is an outlier. We're back. We got more work to do. But I mean, it's hard to imagine them getting too entitled again, because now they've known. They maybe sometimes you learn, like you said, as a young team, there's no overlooking any opponent, much less. It's just hard to understand why you would overlook Minnesota, who was 2-1 in the Big Ten going into that. Right? They weren't a complete team. So I get some parts of it, but that's a team that's had Nebraska's number for quite some time.
Can I throw a theory out there at the risk of pissing a lot of people off?
Yeah.
I said over and over, I wish Matt Rhule would stop talking about how great the defensive line is going to be, the elite wide receivers, the O-line's the highlight of spring. Possibly going to win now this was a player. So I won't even say it. We'll just stick to like the Joe Moore Award or whatever and all this and that. I said it because I thought it was a level of expectation that if they didn't match, I thought Scott Frost shortened his own honeymoon period. And I felt like if you win 10 games, great. If you don't, are you shortening your own honeymoon period, which is, getting towards this end anyways. Year 3 jump, year 3 leap, gonna happen. It's just like, I'm always that guy that's like, we're doing okay. We're gonna go out and play as hard as we can publicly. And privately, I'll be honest with the team. Okay, I'll share one other thing that Charlie said with me. He said, Coach Osborne never used the word great. Hey, I was practicing today. Oh, good. Good. He would never use the word great because it's almost too satisfying. It's why I learned as a young player, don't read your press clippings. If it's negative, it's obvious why you don't need to read them. If it's positive, you buy into them too much and you can lose a little bit of motivation. He said he would say good, or if it was truly, in Charlie's estimation, a great practice, he'd say, oh, it was really good. But he would not say great. By the way, Dr. Tom Osborne, psychology, just FYI. So when Rhule was saying all these things, he was trying to speak things into existence, in my opinion. He was trying to talk about what he wanted to see, and he was trying to talk to his team. That's great. That's awesome. I think it creates a level of expectations with the fans that if you don't meet it, that's tough. The other thing it can do is if you don't meet it, all of a sudden your team, it creates a level of expectation of we're great before you've done anything. And then all of a sudden you get hit in the mouth and you're like, wait, we're supposed to be great. What's going on? Why is it this hard? Or why, from a coach's perspective, why do you anticipate it being this easy? Why do you think it's going to be easy? So to me, there was multiple reasons I didn't like it. And he's the coach, man. He's a great public speaker, phenomenal public speaker. There's no doubt about that. This was just my take on it. And I was consistent, and I've been consistent. If we were sitting here 6-1, or we're 10-2, or 11-1 at the end of the year, then he was right and I was wrong. You can have a great year, go 9-3, and you're still not right. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the odds may not have been in his favor. I'm not saying he didn't believe it. This is just my take on it. The other thing is I think a little bit of sensitivity was created. There were times when he would get after the media for things that were said. And this is where I might make some people mad. On what planet is a high-level Division I athlete, professional athlete getting paid millions of dollars, on what planet are we not allowed to talk about them being in elite shape? Do you know where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
Is it fair to continue down this track, or should I stop?
No, I think it's fair.
There's one athlete that I've ever been around where we were told not to talk about his weight, and that was Dylan. Like, Rhule came out, he was mad, unhappy that, 240 pounds and Dylan's weight was being talked about. I have no idea what Dylan weighs. It was actually said at a press conference. That number was thrown out at a press conference. And then people started chatting about it. Like, if you're going to be a high-level athlete, you have any idea how many conversations I had about my weight, publicly, privately? And I know it's a different day and age, social media, everything else, I get it. And when you're trying to have your players back, you're trying to stand up for your players, love it. Love it. That's much better than some guys who hang them out to dry and stand in front of the podium and say, these aren't my guys, because we've had that. So much better. But at a certain point, there's a line where you say it's too far. Like, I'm going to stand up for you and I'm going to have your back. But at a certain point, some things are fair to talk about. Some things are fair to talk about. If you're going to be an elite level athlete, some things are fair to talk about. And then there's a line of things you don't talk about that are unfair. This is my take. I wonder if that bred into certain things. I could be wrong. And I'm not trying to pick on one guy, but I was so befuddled. I've never had somebody come out and say, don't talk about somebody's weight who's a high-level athlete getting paid a lot of money. I was like, huh? What? That's not fair? Who's the basketball player? That out of Kentucky. Zion Williamson.
Yeah. Well,
now that's completely different. He went like that's a different ballpark when it comes to weight. Is he still in the league?
Zion's actually skinny now. This is his first year. Yeah, we'll see what happens. NBA starts tonight. We'll see.
I quit paying attention, honestly. When he got so big, he wasn't effective at all. That is not the part that we're talking about here. That never happened here, to be clear. But just the fact that it was like, Matt, the people were talking about, I was like, huh? Okay. This is a little sensitive to me. But it is what it is. Does that make sense to you, what I'm trying to articulate respectfully, but knowing that people are over the excuses, over the entitlement, over the, like, head down. Why are people picking on us? That's kind of my interpretation of what Rhule said. No, nothing's happening to you. Go make the play. Go do it. Go figure it out. Go find a way to win. Go get the job done. You have all the resources available. Go do it. Does it make sense? Am I out of bounds? Like, you can be my checks and balances here, Jake.
No, I really like it. I hadn't thought of that with the entitlement quote. Is kind of going back to, like you said, I mean, he throws the word elite around quite a bit. So I really kind of like that bit you kind of talked about with Charlie McBride and Tom Osborne too. And we talked about it in the offseason. I was like, I don't know if I buy this offensive line is going to be, some of the stuff that was coming out from the players, but it's like, okay, maybe they're speaking confidence in themselves that they're getting there. But it's just, it's hard to believe. And I don't want to completely, it's like, I'm a little bit guilty of it. I thought they beat Minnesota and I was hoping for handedly.
How dare you?
Right. But, I still would always respect Minnesota. And there's definitely that part of, and that's every team in the Big Ten. I mean, that's what makes you think too. Like, if it didn't happen against Minnesota, would it happen here against Northwestern?
Yep. Because
you think that maybe it would, because you just kind of put these into this old Big Ten West. They're not flashy, whatever. They're just going to grind it out. And as long as we do but Nebraska, and this is what DP's been saying, Nebraska really just didn't do, you can say what you will about Minnesota and give them credit, and you have to, but Nebraska beat Nebraska against Minnesota. So, the entitlement and all that sort of the phrasing and stuff too is like, well, this just didn't look like a very well-coached team. And that's not the majority of the season. I'm not saying that, but again, there's not many ways you can kind of put lipstick on a pig on a 24-6 loss.
I think you make a lot of good points. There's a phenomenal point in there, and I hope it didn't get glossed over, so I'm going to revisit it. What if we'd beaten Minnesota and then this happened versus Northwestern? And then you're going into USC. So my point is, it sucks that it happened, the Minnesota game, how it happened, the way it played out. But the fact that it happened, it gives you, like, there are no mistakes in life, in my opinion, other than not learning from your mistakes. Mistakes are nothing more than an opportunity to grow, improve, and get better. The only true mistake you can make in life, in my humble opinion, is not learning from your mistake, and now you've effed up sideways. So, Friday happened. We can learn from it, and we can be better for it, and we can be a better team. Because imagine if it doesn't, then we lose to Northwestern, and then you go play a USC team, and your head's all out in outer space, and all of a sudden now you just get mollywopped by a really good USC team, and things can tumble. Penn State. Or you can pull a UCLA. All right, well, that really sucked. Let's get better. Because Rhule said, we're going to find out if they're going to fight for themselves Saturday. If they come back and they beat Northwestern, I don't care if it's 3-2. I don't care if it's 6-7. I can't even say that anymore because of my kids. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're lucky. My kids in this whole 6-7 thing. Anyways, I don't care. It's not going to be 100-99. It's going to be lower scoring. I don't care what the score is. If we're 6-2 and we have beaten Northwestern and we're getting ready for USC, it's going to be a completely different vibe than even if we had beaten Minnesota and lost to Northwestern. Either way, you're 6-2. Personally, I'd rather beat Minnesota. What I'm saying is we have an opportunity to be better for it. The fact that I got pancaked, okay, that wasn't the main part of the book. That was just the beginning. The meat of the book was how I responded. Then the end of the book was how much better I did or did not get for being pancaked and learning from it. So to me, it's not what happens to you. It's like the old gambler song. You got to know when to fold them, know when to hold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. It's not the hand you're dealt. It's how you play the cards that you have. So now the question, this happened to you. How do you respond? And we can be a better team for it, as silly as that sounds. It's like last year when Indiana the crap all over us. And I sat here and I said, we have an opportunity to earn respect versus Ohio State. Oh my gosh. Did I get lambasted for just having the audacity to say that we could earn respect? And we could have gone and gotten killed by Ohio State. Thank goodness the team, I wish they'd have won, but thank goodness they played as well as they did and earned a little respect. No moral victories, you want to win. But my point is they bounced back. When we've had really bad losses in the past, Michigan is first year, go to Illinois and win on a Friday night the next time. Indiana didn't win, but went to Ohio State, played really, really well against the team that was clearly the best team in the country, even though they shouldn't have even been in the playoff. Topic for another day. Add to that list, Jake. You can't finish fourth in your conference. I digress. My point is we can be better for it. We can be a better team versus USC, depending on how we react versus Northwestern after what happened to us against Minnesota.